All right, let me go to Bob in Arkansas. Hey, Bob.
You doing?
How are you?
Good. What I was calling about is I had last year I had pretty much taken all of the investments and put them in money markets in
Mm-hmm.
anticipation of what could happen with the market, and they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not, I don't really have the debt or anything, but I don't really know what to do with it at this point.
How old are you,
And
Bob?
50.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. You need to have some in the market. Not a lot, but you need to have some. And I think at my peak, which would have been December of last year, I was saying maybe somebody 50 years old ought to have about 45% in cash. I changed that on January 1st. At least on my website, my asset allocations, it said maybe 35% or lower. I forget exactly what the number was. I'm still in that camp. I haven't changed that at all. I still feel like that's what it ought to be. But I think for somebody that's probably got 10 to 15 years away from retirement, you ought to have some in the markets. And the only way I would do it is some individual stocks in, well diversified kinds of stocks like oil, food, and maybe some transportation and industrial kinds of stocks. Just a little bit. Now, the problem is this the time to do it? And no, I don't think it is, because I think the markets are very close to being at a high for the year, in my opinion. So I don't know that this is the time to wean in to try to get 20% or so exposed to some good, strong companies.
Right.
So I think really right now, Bob, you've got no choice but to wait a little bit. But I want you to do a couple of things. If you don't have a financial advisor and you want to try to do that, then you need to start looking around. Or you need at least to open up an account that will allow you to do some of these individual stocks, or take a little bit of maybe a position in a Timothy Plan mutual fund, where you can have the money in the money market account at a particular brokerage account so that you can move pretty quickly.
Right.
So
Oh,
what? Go ahead.
let me throw one little wild
Okay.
card in there for you.
Okay.
Um, I probably I'm an independent contractor, so I probably
Okay.
will not retire.
Okay.
I'm in a situation where I can pretty much do this as long as I want to, and as long as I'm doing it, checks will come in.
Okay.
So I have a time horizon of basically till the end. So I mean, I can,
Right.
and with no debt, it's like I can save plenty of money. I just don't know where to put it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. I think you need to open an account at a E-Trade or a Schwab or something like that.
Sure.
Move some of this money out of the money market it's in, get it into a money market account over there. And then I would start thinking, I think where you need to place it, here's what I think you ought to do for the next 5 years.
Okay.
I think you need to pick, I'm just going to throw out some names. This could change next week, but I'll throw out some names, as of today. I think you need to take a ConocoPhillips, a Ford Motor, an International Paper, and maybe a Timothy Plan large mid cap value fund. And I would consistently, I'd put some money into those three stocks in that mutual fund. And then I would do it on a regular basis. I continue to add to it.
Okay.
And I can tell you that that's far in the long run, since you have such a long horizon. I can tell you that that's going to do very well for you in the long term. If you
Right.
want to add a couple stocks, if down the road you want to add something, right now, for instance, I have a Tyson Food on my buy list. If you want to add a couple of things down the road just to get some more diversification, might not be, a railroad, a utility company, to create a little more diversification. But then kind of really believe in those companies and just keep continuing to contribute to them. Maintain a 40%, because you have such a long time horizon, maintain a 40% cash for at least another year or so until we see how things begin to shake out. The reason I want that much cash, Bob, is not just to protect what you have, but so that if things really do collapse, that these companies that you've been buying, you're going to have some cash to buy back into them, to add more to them at very cheap prices. And
Right.
that's going to serve you really well.
Great.
So that's what I would do. And I think that's going to be your best bet.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate it. I listen to you all the time, and I enjoy it. And I got to thinking, well, this is a great place to call and get some advice for this, because I have just been stymied.
Yeah.
Trying to decide. You just don't know anymore.
You don't. And it's so hard, who do you trust and who do you talk to? And I know that's difficult too. But I feel very confident that if you take some positions in some really good companies and and maintain a biblically based perspective on where you're putting God's money, I think you'll do great.
Well, and that's the whole reason I called you.
Yeah,
So,
well.
But I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate the call. Great stuff. Folks, and that's why, I appreciate Bob calling in, but that's why we're here. And I hope everybody, as they think through their stewardship, I hope they're thinking through it from a biblical perspective. And I love what Bob just said. That's why I called. And, that's the reason I want people to call more than any other reason. So I sure appreciate that.